Good evening and welcome to tonight's show from DJNTV, Disc Jockey News TV. Tonight's show is brought to you by Electra Voice, DJ Event Planner, DJ Trivia, Odyssey Innovative Designs and Cases, NLFX Professional, Promo Only, and the DJNTV Insiders.
DJ Event Planner will change the way you manage and run your business. Streamline all of your procedures and software into one easy-to-manage system. DJ Event Planner, the ultimate online planning tool.
I look at my little thing with buttons and I can find, because our intro is right here. Yeah, it's right there. There it is. It's right there. So it's great. Oh,
maybe you need the monitors that like wrap around.
Oh, we're live.
Oh, really? Seriously, legit, John?
Sorry. Well, I hit the button.
Well, I need to be on top of everything. I mean, come on, John. You gotta work with me a little here.
3, 2.
Hey everybody, welcome out to Monday night, and I know you are tuning in because you have enjoyed your evening so far and you are looking to just continue that throughout the rest of what we have for you. Is that good, John?
That was pretty good. That was pretty good. For those of you who are wondering why Dan was being extra animated, is because I just finished with Gene, the multiple talented man. He's the wedding coach, he's the podcast, he just does a lot of things. And he gave us some tips on some ideas to get yourself ready for a great 2020. And if you didn't get a chance to watch the show, you need to go back and watch that one. Actually, and then we've had a really good night. We had Mike Walter kicking us off at 8 o'clock Eastern, talking about his company making the jump to a photo booth company and how he started out and some of the things that he was involved with that. Quick video. We kept it tight, kept it short. And then Gene gave us 10 tips. Truthfully, he gave us about 27 tips. And he was going. So you get a lot of great stuff. Towards the end, we had a little issue with some internet things, but we got through the main part of it before the internet stuff came in. So it's a good show. And now tonight, in this segment, we're going to talk about the whole microphone issue, and get into that a little bit more. But Dan, you just brought up before we went live, our big announcement here today.
Yeah, so I happened to check out online, and of course, if you haven't heard yet, you've been living under a rock, I guess. But Disc Jockey News, DJNTV, is tied in with the Photo Booth Expo out in Las Vegas, and the speaker lineup. Like when I saw this, like I knew you'd bring quality. Don't get me wrong, I knew that was going to be there. But when I saw the names on that list, I was like, "Dang, he's not pulling any punches." Like this is a great lineup.
Yeah, we've really put a lot of time and things into putting together a lineup that's really going to focus. There are a couple of performance things, but really to focus on running your business for these guys like Dan and myself. It was really something that was designed for us. So really, for the rest of you, Dan and I will be there, and we're going to have fun. But really, that was the idea. Is if you go to discjockeynews.com or djntv.com, and on that they have Disc Jockey News DJ Convention, DJNTV DJ Convention for 2020. Click on that link, and that'll take you right to the page. I would share it Dan, but the problem is if I share it, what ends up happening is that Wirecast doesn't capture, and I can't. I can't share the screen. So
does it make a difference if I share it?
yeah, if you share it, it's fine. Yep. Now that's why MJ does all the sharing. So if you have the web page up, and you can pop up, and we'll take 2 seconds to talk about that, and then we're going to dive into tonight's topic. For those of you who are wondering why we're going this direction, is because one of the first and last things Gene said in his 10 tips tonight was the importance of education. And what's really cool, and why we decided to go co-locate a show with Photo Booth Expo, is because we're able to offer an educational experience to a level like none other in the industry right now, and we can do it at a less expensive rate than a lot of other types of events. Your pass for right now is the pass at $180 for the educational track, and February in Vegas is cheap to get there. The hotels aren't very expensive. It's something that you can go, and at $1,000 could get you to Vegas, could get your show pass, could get your food and everything in your hotel for the week, and you can make it happen. It's not that difficult to do, which is really kind of cool, because I've done most trade shows when I'm going down there. We're spending $2,000 to $3,000 a person on all the different things: show pass, food, and hotel, and travel, and car, and all these different things. Well, the South Point is a really inexpensive place to go. Did you have it up there?
I'm ready when you are, sir.
Go ahead, pop it up there.
Okay.
Because you and I we just go over to the side when you pop it up. So this is a look at the web page there, and you can kind of see going down. There we go. That we start off on Monday. Monday, everything kicks off at noon, and we're having Ben Stowe kick off the event. And for those of you who don't know who Ben Stowe is, seriously, Tuesday night, you've never been with us? But Ben is going to be there kicking things off. Glenn Roush coming to us from Texas. Dean Carlson's one of our DJNTV writers. Dave Tournier. Wednesday night, you guys get to see Dave and Jeremy. The 4 o'clock one on Monday, that is going to be a little bit different. You've heard Dave and Jeremy talk numerous times. This isn't going to be a Dave and Jeremy talk type of thing, or even a Jeremy lighting talk. This is going to be Sarah, Jeremy's wife and the talented one of the group, talking about what it's like to work with her spouse and his DJ business. She came into the business and brought in a lot of different ideas and marketing and the making things run day to day. And they're going to talk about how it is to be working with your spouse. So for those of you who are working with your spouse, or have thought about that, or have a significant other that you've been dating and wanting to get in, this is going to be a great time to not only learn from their experiences, but then to ask some questions, because Sarah will be there and be able to give you some insight. They've come together. They've had, there's a learning curve for the two of them. And now they've been able to excel in the last year and a half in doing some incredible things, because the two of them work so well together. And that's a testament to their flexibility and their give and take with working with each other. So I'm really excited about seeing Jeremy and Sarah. You've got Mitch coming in talking sales. Ross is going to come in and talking about adding a photo booth to your business. And then MJ is going to be doing kind of a late night on Monday. He's going to be doing a late night mixing tutorial with us with virtual DJ. So then Tuesday is the Game Master, and we get into some networking and education there from that 8 to 10 o'clock time frame with Mike Farino and Scott Faber. Rick Webb's going to come in, and he's going to talk about reaching millennials, and he's going to talk about how he's using social media and things to reach that audience and to connect with them. Brandon Stewart's has a company that does school dances, does corporate and different things, and he's going to be really talking about how he has diversified his business to doing everything from those to others. And this guy's like being traveled around the country right now to do sometimes DJ, sometimes photography, sometimes videography. He's just really created a neat little niche. Superfly's coming in to talk about some Serato things and showing some Serato stuff. Jordan Marshall, Big Daddy are going to come in there, and that's probably going to be just a hug fest. Because Big Daddy's involved. Byron Gunter's going to come in, and he has got a DJ company that is set up for an automated. His automation is really second to none. He's developed a system within his company of how to run multiple DJ systems, and he runs them efficiently and effectively, and is very profitable with what he does. And I want him to come in there and share that concept, because not many people do what he does and can do what he does. But I think there's people who could learn from what he does and really help make their business profitable. Jonathan Simmons, DJ Woopig, coming to us from Arkansas, is another passionate, exciting guy who's going to come in and talk about talk about his ideas for what your business needs to look like in 2020. And then Nick Spinelli's coming in, and we're not sure if we're going to have Nick talk about mixing or if he's going to talk about the social media side of it. The man has got so many different diverse angles that he could go to. So we've kind of left Nick open yet at this time. And then Wednesday, we're going to have a little different day. It's not going to be quite as intense. The morning are half-hour sessions with Leo and Jody and Drew. They're going to be talking business things, and that's really kind of between the social media side of it. Jody's going to be talking about, Jody Harris from Las Vegas is talking about working with destination crowds. Drew is getting into more sales and social media. Jason Jones coming back. He has not been in Las Vegas since the year that he and Bill did Mobile Beat, the big Mobile Beat thing. Jason Jones is coming back to talk about the sales conversation and connecting in that conversation to build that trust in things that Gene was talking about in our last segment. Eric Massengale is going to be coming in and talking about using an automated system for the follow-up, which is ironically that's what Gene was talking about in the last show. And then Jason Clark's going to come in there and talk about, for those of you who are part-time and you want to move it to full-time, and some of the thoughts and things you need to be aware of and how to do this transition successfully. Or if you're full-time and you need to be moving back, and he's going to be kind of really talking about the pros and cons and how a person can do any of those moves and make them a successful move. Then on the very right, we can kind of see there's some master classes, and that's going to be something there's going to be more added to the schedule. Those are classes that you can take. They're going to cost, there's an additional cost to the master classes. Excuse me. But the master classes, what's cool about that is you're going to have this the small group time with Ben Stowe, and he's going to take you through his audio master class, similar to what he does with the audio symposium in Minneapolis. You're going to be able to sit down there. He's going to go through some things, you gain structure, what have you. And then once you're done, you can ask questions. You basically are there for another half hour to get questions answered. For those who do take those, you're going to get the access to the recordings of the seminars you missed in the DJ room. So you're going to be paying to go and hang out with Ben Stowe from 10 to noon. But then Tuesday, let's go. So at 10 o'clock, you'll be missing Rick Webb and you'll get Miss Brandon Stewart. So you'll be missing those two. You will get access to the recordings of their seminars so that you don't miss anything by going and being part of the master class. So, okay, wow. We went through that. So yeah, that's what we've been working on here, and it's all part of the Photo Booth Expo. You can shut that off, Dan. It's going to be going on February 24th, 25th, 26th with the education. The event is open to the 27th. Why the 27th? What's the big thing with that day? Well, there's going to be some more master classes still going on, especially in the sales and social media world. The 27th is the day, if you're interested in gear from the photo booth world, that's when you go back in there with your checkbook to buy displays. There are years where there's a $2,000 photo booth display or unit, and then they buy it for $700 on the last day type of thing. You know, you can, if you've got the ability to haul something, that's your time to do it. And you can go in. The backdrops, was it 2 years ago? The backdrops were selling for $99 and they were flying out. People were just buying when they were gone. The last day, they were selling them for $25 just to get rid of them. And there were the selection wasn't there, but still people were walking out with these backdrops, $25 backdrops that were still usable. I mean, it wasn't like they were really crappy, like calf poop yellow or something like that. They were still decent colors. It's just you didn't get the cool mermaid one, where you'd write your name and you could go make and wipe it and it goes away. So
that's what you use. You need a backdrop like that for your.
I would, but then I would spend the whole show just writing on the back thing. How can I make a Q? I want to make a Q, and flip those little things over. Yeah. So yes, this is coming up in Vegas. South Point is just south of the airport, about 4 miles, and coming up in the end of February. So yeah, that's what we had. That's what's been our big news here. The last week we dropped it a little bit, but today the web pages went up. So yay. For those of you wondering, tickets, they're having a little problem with the ticket side of it, and the tickets hopefully will be this week. We were hoping it was Friday, but then they found out they had a coding error that was booting everything out. Basically, we want to make it so when the ticket system is up, that when you buy a ticket and everything's going to work right, and it's not one of these things where you buy a ticket and you're getting an error code. Error code was happening last week. So in the testing, it's like we'd rather wait, make sure it's all up, because There's going to be the DJ track ticket. There's the photo booth track ticket. There's the people who already bought the photo booth track that need to upgrade to the DJ track because the DJ track is more expensive. I'm just going to throw that out there right now. It is more expensive. So if you already have one, you can upgrade to get the DJ track. Then we've got above that, then we have the people who want to go to the master classes, and all of those are going to be put in there also. So there's just a lot of variables into that ticket system that they're working on. So, okay.
Yeah.
I think we're good. So let's jump into tonight's topic. Microphone use. This is something, Dan, that I've been watching off and on. It isn't quite the big discussion like this past weekend was, where people were like, "Oh, I was given a list of 75 songs and I turned the gig down," type of thing. If you are in one of those posts and I'm offending you, I'm sorry. But seriously, if I took the booking and they're paying me the money, and I took it in good faith, and now they're going to say, "Oh, here's a list of songs I want you to play," and not deviate from them. It sucks. I know it. But you know what? Ladies and gentlemen, tonight's event is sponsored. The bride and groom have picked out the songs for tonight's show, and it's going to be a great walk down memory lane for Bobby and Susan as we go through their list of songs. Hopefully everyone has a really good time. Let's dive right in. There you go. You just saved your butt. You just did that. You threw it on them, and now you played the 75 stupid songs and collect the check. Yeah, it's not the greatest thing in the world, but that's what it is. So we're not talking about that. I wanted to go to the microphone side because here's the area where I've been seeing off and on is the people who are like, "Did you look at this video of this cheesy DJ who gets on the microphone is doing that?" Or this guy just wouldn't shut up at the event. Or this guy. And that's what I really wanted to talk about, Dan, tonight is appropriate use. And let's kind of start. We're wedding people, and for those of you who will probably refer a little bit to teen dances a touch, but as a wedding entertainer, there is a point where you can be on a microphone too much.
Yeah.
How do you?
I mean, you kind of touched about it. It really depends upon the event, and I think it comes in also with what you're saying versus how often you're saying. You know, in for example, if you're utilizing the message right, then I don't think it's going to come across as being too much. Versus, if I'm just getting on and I'm just saying something to say something, or I'm doing the same type of thing all night long, suddenly it's going to be in your face a little bit more. It's going to have a completely different response and view of it from the guests.
So you said say something to say something as opposed to having something to say. Can you give me an example? And I know I'm kind of putting you on a spot here, but
so I and this goes against Mike Waldron, and I love him dearly, but he's a big proponent of introing the songs with the name of the song. And so I've seen some people in tapes and different things, or videos, rather, I should say tapes. Man, I'm dated all of a sudden.
Yeah, no kidding.
But seeing some videos of what's going on, and people will be introducing a song, and they're constantly previewing the song, almost like this is a radio format. And I mean, even radio, for the most part, depending upon the format that you're listening to, they don't even do that necessarily.
Not anymore. I mean, we grew up in a time where that was very common. And now,
you're either coming into it or you're coming out of it. It'd be the same.
Yeah, and you just don't see that.
No, but yet you'll see some people who have that mentality of, well, I've got to say something, so I'm just going to tell everybody what this song is that's coming up.
I do think there is a place for that in a wedding reception. Is it every song? No. Is it every other song? I still don't think so. But I think that that announcing a song or posting a song, I think I'm using the proper term there, posting a song. Yeah.
You are? Good job.
But posting a song, there are times where that becomes a transition, that maybe my transition between this song and this are a little bit too extreme. And I can use that little time to, hey, everybody, now we're going to change the pace and we're going to go to some oldies with some Elvis Presley, whatever it is. But you can work that crowd and use that as a tool for transition. But like any tool, if you use it too often, it's going to get annoying, or it's going to, oh, there he is again. We're hearing that all night long. is I'm teaching DJs especially when it came to announcing the types of changes. When we first started, it was like announce every time you're going to change formats. So it was back in the day where you do three oldies and then moved on to 3 80s, then moved on to 3 more modern, then to 3 country. And you'd announce, hey, now we're going to be going to da-da-da-da. And after a while, it's like, it was okay for a period of time, but then it became like, if they can't figure out we're going to country music, there's probably something wrong with my song selection. Just gonna say it.
Yeah.
Is this nitty gritty dirt band country or is it oldies? I can't tell. Yeah.
And I agree with you when the standpoint is, especially if you're going from a change up or something like that, just to kind of help with that transition of for lack of better terms, one extreme to another. However, I think there's also something to be said from a mixing standpoint of almost catching them off guard.
Oh yeah.
For example, if I'm playing a song and I'm previewing and we'll just use the Elvis, for example, and I mentioned about we're going to Elvis, I might turn off a collection of the younger crowd. But if I get them dancing to half of it before they even really recognize, because they're, a younger crowd that might not know Elvis, I have a better grab.
Good point.
And we're not necessarily talking about programming, tonight, but I think that there is some place where that has, but again, that's what we're saying. If you're using it all the time, you're bypassing an opportunity to, for lack of better terms, trick them into staying longer.
So let's continue in the kind of the posting, talking over the music and such, and Mike Walter refers to this as kind of prompting the crowd, and probably one of the first times I saw this at an actual event that was done that was done very, very well was actually early on when I first met and was doing a show with Bill Herman. So it was 15 years ago, whatever it was, and he was one who would prompt the crowd, similar to how a band would do it, I would imagine. When there was going to be a spot, and there was some disco songs, and he had it down where, everybody, and then they would do whatever it was that at that moment. A good example would be, and not that the Bill didn't do this one, but, Sweet Caroline. Okay, everybody, I want to hear you, that kind of a thing. Mm-hmm. I struggle with this one because I see some people who do it and do it very well. Mike Walter shows examples of his people doing it pretty well in his videos and such. This is just an area, though. I don't know if it adds to the excitement of it or does it subtract from it. And this is one of my big concerns when it comes to the microphone. If you're not adding, there's very seldom is it neutral. You are either adding or you're interfering with the process. What are your thoughts when it comes to post or prompting in the songs like that?
Well, we're going to name drop all night long. I think we are
pretty much, and then we're going to tag each and every one of these people. And
we are. That might just work. So I think of Randy Bartlett, and I think of the 1% solution stuff that he would talk about, and the idea of if you can get them, and I might be paraphrasing completely wrong, Randy. If I am, I'm sorry, but the idea that if I can tell them what to do, something they were probably going to do anyway, now I look like the hero because I just led them to do something. Mm-hmm. So kind of legitimately you play Sweet Caroline and it gets to the dun dun dun, and I could drop the music out. I could do nothing whatsoever. I could be in another room and that crowd's still going to do it.
Right.
But if I encourage them to do it the right way, yell at them, but encourage them to do it the right way. Now they do it. Now it looks like I just orchestrated this whole big production when really it didn't matter at all. And they were going to do it anyway. Mm-hmm. And so I feel like in the right vein, and again, of course, making sure we're not going over the top with it, but I feel in the right vein, when you do that with those events, when you do that with those moments, you look like you have even more power over them than you may have before.
Sure.
And then when you do something else, whatever it might be, inviting them to the dance floor for a slow dance, or they're a couple, whatever, they're more apt to listen because, well, hey, he was smart before. We were, we decided to say dun dun dun, and it's because of him.
Yeah, exactly. He was behind it. No, that's a great way to look at it. And talking to when Michael and he's doing some of his things and such, and there's times in some songs you can do this, and obviously he's not playing Sweet Caroline at a high school dance, but there's moments in songs, and it's something that you got to make it look spontaneous, but you got to practice it, because if you're off, it not only backfires, but it makes you look stupid. Mm-hmm. You've got to practice it. You've got to have it down and then make it look spontaneous, like, and everyone's like, oh, look at he's so quick on his feet and so smart. He just came up with that right now, and he's only done it 300 times.
A little note for you, a little software tip, if we will. And somebody in MJ, probably should ask MJ if I can do this in virtual, but in Serato, one of the things I like to do is I like to set cue points, a certain cue point that is for that spot where I need to make sure I've hit, because Serato will also count down the 10 seconds leading up to it with the little gauges that's going around. Oh, cool. So I have that opportunity to go, because a lot of times I know to do it, but my biggest issue is I forget where I need to start it.
Yep.
I know it's about 3 minutes in, and it's coming up on this part, but I got to remember where I need to say my words. Mm-hmm. And so having that cue point set, now I go, okay, first off, I know the time, but in addition to knowing the time, I also know, okay, I've got 10 seconds countdown. All right. Now when I know what I'm going to say is going to say 6 seconds. Perfect. And I can post it, and beautiful.
So right there, just that concept alone, that idea alone, is to find those spots and set a cue point based on what you're going to say. Yes, you might be saying the same thing or very similar every time, but oh my gosh, what a great idea, because that way it's like, okay, I can see my cue point. I could be talking to someone, glance at my cue point, say, hang on a second. And then everyone's like, yeah. And then you can go right back to the person. Everybody like, whoa, this guy's good. Yes, yeah. Okay. Thank you guys for being with us tonight. We got Lou and Reggie and Howie and Scott and Robin and David and Randy. Got a lot of great folks with us tonight. So thank you for being with us on this lovely evening, which is like 90 degrees here in Minnesota. Just going to throw that out there.
Sun's going to heat my way.
Oh man, yeah, it's headed there. And it's humidity that's really the killer today. Okay, so let's move on from that. This is something that's been talked about when it comes to microphone, is the natural voice and the wild DJ voice. What are your thoughts on that? And I'm going to take us back to the early days when we were first getting onto the microphone in that early 90s time frame. It's like every wedding that we went to and every event, people they didn't want to hear me on the microphone saying, hi, everyone, this is John. I'm going to be your DJ tonight. And hey, I'm looking forward to tonight. No, they wanted it to be, because the most popular guy in our market was a radio DJ, and he was that FM voice. And we're going to be coming to you tonight from the Freeport. That's what they were looking for. And that's what people wanted. It's like, well, you don't sound like a radio DJ. Have we gotten completely away from that? So now that's not a thing, or is that still a thing, or is it offensive? What are your thoughts, Dan?
I think the good people have gotten away from it. I think that's one of those places where people feel it's cheesy, because anymore they can see through it. But with that being said, I have a microphone voice. True. That is not. It's not the crazy, old style FM. It's not the, Wolfman Jack type of piece there. As David said, it's not the Sunday. It's none of that kind of a thing. But rather, what it is it gives me that I take it up a notch. I make sure I'm posed. I make sure my I'm standing the right way. It's going to give me all the air, like all the proper techniques you do, right, to make sure that you sound your best. But when you come and talk to me, you're going to get the same type of voice that you would otherwise. It grates me when somebody tries to be completely different, and so bizarre. Then it's like, because here's the other thing, just to kind of throw out a thought that just kind of came to mind. Let's say you have that voice. Now they're going to come up and they're going to request a song from you. How are you going to talk to them? if you talk to them in the same voice that you use when you're on the microphone, or at least the same type of voice that you're in the
That
microphone,
would be,
it's going to be bizarre
yeah, it would
to
be.
them to have that conversation. But yet, if you don't, that only makes you look like more of a fool out on the floor, because you're not you're not that type of person out there. Yeah.
Using that wedding singer voice. Hey there, how you doing? Yeah, I'll get to your request right now. It'll be great.
There's so many thoughts that go through my head. It's just so wrong. Okay.
Yeah, it's kind of a maybe creepy, uncle going on there. I don't know.
Yeah, that's kind of the direction I was like a little
bit there. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, so continuing, I actually had some notes I put down for tonight's show. I just wanted to. Actually, we're working our way through those notes. So.
Oh, we are.
That's
yeah,
we are.
We're not just flying off.
Let's see. But I wanted to see it. Yeah, we'll stick with the order. So one of the things when we have our events, family friendly events, there's areas in which things we shouldn't say, places we should not go when we use the microphone. And I say not go topics and different things. And I think this has changed tremendously from where we were at one time 20 years ago, when I would be in a bar, and there were times where I could go and you could pick on people and you could say things over a microphone. And it was, I think they're talking about this a lot in the comedy recently. Is Dave, what's his name? He just came out with the Netflix. Starts with this. Yes. He just came out with a next Netflix special here the last month. And they were saying that the type of humor that he displayed is things that a lot of younger people find offensive today compared to 30 years ago. Every comedian was doing that type of humor. I mean, my teenagers are watching some of the shows from the 80s and early 90s, and they're like, oh my gosh, how they did this on TV? Because of the way things have changed. So in this day and age, I think that the microphone has become something that we have to be really aware of, because we can offend, and not intentionally, just by saying some things. And, we want to be in the moment, and we want to be interacting and reacting with the crowd, especially when you have some, fun things going on with the wedding party introduction, as an example. And we've seen videos of that where the DJs thought, oh yeah, or the garter removal, and they want to try to do something. 20 years ago, you could have gone, go Bill, and you could have cheered him on. Today, probably not so much. And I don't know if that's, it's a changing situation. And I think that the ramifications are just so large or so huge that we have to be really ultra aware of that.
Yeah. And I think it's also weird. You mentioned we have to be ultra conservative, for lack of better terms, maybe ultra conservative. We have to be really guarded. What we'll say. And yet so much of what we do in other veins has gone completely to the other side. Like we're guarding what we're saying, yet we're getting requests from these same people for lyrical content that crosses that line tenfold.
Oh, certainly.
And so it's just kind of funny that it's like, okay, if we say it, it's bad, but if they say it, let's get out the floor and let's, have a great time dancing. So kind of weird, but yeah, I agree that where you could have gone before is definitely changing. Definitely just you want to err on the side of caution. And I guess, the old adage is, if you couldn't say it to your grandmother, you probably shouldn't be saying it on the mic.
That's exactly what I was going to head there just with that. Because it's like, okay, how do you judge? And well, if I can't say it to grandma, or, my rule of thumb is basically, I'm never going to say anything that would make the bride feel uncomfortable, or, to pick on her or anything. It's like bride completely off limits. And I've gotten to the point now where it's bride and groom completely off limits. Maybe you have a little fun at the wedding party a little bit, but that's pretty much the extent of what I do, unless I know the people really, really, really well, like where I know 2/3 of the people, which happened this summer, and I was able to have some fun with that. at one time it was like bride was off limits, groom was good, pretty good to go. Best man was like, he was going to be the butt of half of my jokes for the night. I wouldn't do that today. It's that evolution of where things have gone. And I, not that I've had people like, oh, that was really mean, but that you can just feel when you're make a little quip or something and it's like, oh, wait, that didn't land the way I wanted it to. Mm-hmm. And it wasn't anything big, and everyone's pretty much, I'm the only one who's really remembering it. But it's like, oh yeah, mental note, we can't go there.
And it's funny you go that direction. I've always thought bride was off limits. I mean, that's just kind of always the direction I've been. In my viewpoint, I'm still cool with just messing with the groom, assuming I recognize he's got the personality that can handle it, like we've talked, and different things like that. There's certain shticks, if you will, that I will do occasionally if I know he can handle it. I will stay away from the wedding party, and the difference for me with that, unless the wedding party, unless it's the best man who's making a complete fool of himself already, unless he's done that, he's off limits to me. And because I don't know him like I know the bride and groom.
Good point. Yeah.
I've sat down with them. I've had conversations with them. In some cases we've already like become friends on Facebook and we're talking back and forth and we almost have that friendship, a legitimate friendship going on, that I feel like I can do that with some of them, where the wedding party, I've met them. We've said hi. I don't feel that same flexibility.
Mm-hmm. That's interesting. Yeah. And now, the groomsman or the best man was always the target. Oh, always. And I should say, there were a couple of weddings where they were like, oh, he's really kind of shy. And because that was a conversation we had in our meetings. And it's like, okay, but our matron of honor, she's feisty and she'll have fun and she'll be okay, great. And then you get there and you find out that no, she's not. She's mean and vindictive. And if you say something, she may come and shank you in the parking lot after it's done. Okay. Not that that's ever happened, but security has walked me into my truck a couple of times. So.
And that was just because, never mind.
Yeah, that was just because of the song I ended with. I'm sorry. Okay, so the next one, I was talking about things a person they can't say and say. That's the kind of what I wanted to hit with that. Kind of the last one I wanted to, for people who want to improve their microphone skills, and we've mentioned a couple of things. If somebody said, "Hey Dan, how can I get better using a microphone?" Coming from the radio side, you're going to have a little bit different experience in the past. So what would some recommendations be?
Oh, well, there's two things I'm going to go, because one is going to be from the radio side, since you hit that. I had a professor in college who recommended reading Dr. Seuss books out loud, and specifically Fox and Socks. If you want to work on your diction, if you want to work on your enunciation, read that book. First off, read it in your head. And if you can keep things straight, try it with your mouth, because I've read it a couple times to my children and I still can't. And I've done it like a few times trying to practice and work on stuff like that. The second side of it is I'm going to throw out workshops. And I'm going to put my hand up and say that I am a big believer in workshops, and specifically Marbecca. Yeah. I took my first one last August. I'm signed up for one coming up in November. And that is where you're going to learn to improve, because at a wedding or an event, unless you really suck, somebody is going to probably make you sound like you're the best thing since sliced bread. And you need somebody who's not going to sugarcoat it, who's going to come alongside you and say, you need to do this, and you need to kind of work your way to do this. You need to kind of hold yourself a little bit better because you're slouching, and that's why you can't say like the alphabet without breathing. Right. All those little tricks and nuances to make yourself better. And in addition to that, there's videos and there's classes and there's improv and there's light years of all these different ways that you can improve. But ideally, you want to start becoming a better speaker. And like I said, the Marbecca workshop, I wholeheartedly stand behind them and what they've done. And I've only done a bronze level. And so I'm looking forward to some of the others where they really just like put the screws to me.
Yeah.
But yeah, and again, Dr. Seuss, Fox and Socks.
The children's book, and this is something I've talked about on numerous shows as a suggestion. For those of you, this topic actually is one of the videos that just went over to our Patreon page, patreon.com/DJNTV. This is one of the videos that was there for 5 tips for becoming better on a microphone. There's some great information, but the big one that I talk about there also is reading children's books. Dr. Seuss is absolutely fabulous. The only thing I would add to the Dr. Seuss is there's a thing called a metronome that you can actually set a pace and a cadence, and you try to have that diction of reading the Dr. Seuss book so basically to a point you're almost like a song. Mm-hmm. That is tough, because some of those, they're really quick. Some of them are really snap, snap, snap. And then you get into one where it's very specific to get it read properly. And now you're going to try to make it so that everything flows smoothly. And then have a little one with you so the little one you try to keep their attention. Okay, let's go, kids. And that, if you can achieve that and succeed at that, now you've definitely improved your skills as an orator for surely.
Mark in the chat room also listed another one. Actually video record yourself. Set a little GoPro up in the corner. Let it just record you and watch yourself, and everything from how you're announcing, what you're announcing, as well as just all those other little pieces to it. You're going to see so many things, but I would take it one step further and give it to somebody who is an honest friend. And what I mean by, they're an honest friend. They're the type who gives it to you. You give something to them. First off, they'll actually take the time to watch it, but 2, they're going to be honest with their critique. They're not going to be overly harsh.
Right.
They're going to be constructive in their criticism. Even if they have no clue how to tell you to improve, they at least can tell you the things that they don't like.
Sure. And that is a huge value right there. For sure. Just checking, following the chat room here. Yeah, the recording, I think probably the part that when I did the recording of reading some of the children's books, and I was doing this specifically more for when I was working at the church and I was up there doing my presentations and such and teaching the Wednesday night youth group. And it's like, it feels from my perspective like I'm being very animate and I'm very outgoing with things. Start watching the video. And what I perceived as outgoing and animate and being lively, and what was happening and what the kids are seeing, 2 completely different things. And as you talk to people, that's very, very common. They're like, oh my gosh, it feels like I'm bouncing off the wall. And then what the rest of the world is perceiving is Bueller, that kind of a thing. So recording, I think Mark has a great, great tip. And as Robin said, you can record yourself in Zoom and it can put a really cool backdrop up there.
You mean San Francisco?
San Francisco, yes. It could be like we're by Golden Gate Bridge, and it's like it's a beautiful day in San Francisco back there. So that's just kind of a little discussion I want to do tonight. Our time is just about up, but we want to just hit on some things with the microphone. It's a tool. It's a great tool. It can be abused, misused, misunderstood. It just wants love.
A couple things that you didn't hit on that I want before we completely sign off. But one of the things that I want us to kind of think about, I would say, first off, there needs to be a confidence with what you're saying too. As you're wanting to do some of those new things that we talked about, whether it's be the transition that you use, whether you talk about the artist or whether you're getting a crowd reaction or whatever you're happen to be doing, if you're deciding to do something new, obviously practice it before you ever get there, but then you're going to have to kind of, you got to say it like you own it. You got to say it like this is what's happening.
True. Yes.
Because if you don't, then it comes across timid, then it comes across nervous, and it doesn't have the impact that it potentially should. So you definitely want to make sure that you're working on those kind of things. But also, I would say that if you're wanting to improve, don't go from, for the sake of your business, don't go from someone over on, I guess backwards for yes, someone on the left side where you're really not saying a whole lot, and then all of a sudden the next time you're like over the top. And the reason why I'm saying that is you've built your brand, you've built your awareness to the style that you are, and most likely, especially some of your clients who have seen you, they might appreciate the lesser said stuff. So if you decide to jump to the other side, you've now completely changed who you are and how you present.
Good point.
It's one of those things where I feel as you're building it up, you want to build it up little by little, so that way you're not taking anybody completely by surprise, and it gives you a chance to build that confidence. Okay, it worked here. All right, maybe I'll add a couple things here. And you start building your night and fleshing it out a little bit more. But as we said, without being too much, without using the tools and abusing them, but rather being a little bit more confident and more effective with what you have.
Yeah, I think that confidence part, that's a good reminder, and good to bring that up. Say the number of times, and it's like, and now let's hear for Bob and Susie. And instead of being, more in that bold voice and that strong voice, it doesn't have to be the yelling and screaming thing, but it doesn't have to be the one where you're, Bob, they finish their first dance and Bob and Susie, where you're just kind of like throwing it out there in a week and kind of maybe if I don't say it loud enough, they won't hear if I say it wrong or something. That lack of confidence. And as Mark says, they practice.
And confidence doesn't mean, you kind of hit on, but confidence doesn't mean loud. Whether you're talking about yelling at them or whether you're just talking about, I'm just going to turn my mic way up.
Yeah,
I turn it up. That's going to make it better.
I'm going to be so loud that no one else can hear a thing, and then it's got to be awesome because I have the power of the microphone.
And I would assume that you would learn great gain structure at the audio masterclass.
You will. That was one of the topics that Ben will be digging into. We continually talk about wanting to do the gain structure thing with the show on a Tuesday night. And every time we get close to, okay, we're going to do it this time, either one of us were out of town with that, or it became one of those things like for tomorrow night's show, we're going to be talking about making our speakers wireless, which this past summer we've talked a lot about wireless speakers. But that's been myself and, those of us who aren't doing this professionally. Now we're going to have Ben Stowe come in here and tell us that everything we've talked about this summer was wrong. And now he's going to tell us how we should be doing it right.
Yeah.
So, yeah. It will be good. It will be good. Masterclass, Ben Stowe coming up in Vegas. Okay. Anything else we missed, Dan?
No,
I think we've covered our bases. Excellent. Yeah. Excellent. Well, thank you guys for being with us tonight. And Dan, you can take us home.
Take you home. All right. Well, of course, I do want to mention John, previewed a little bit tomorrow night. You've got Ben Stowe. You want to check that out. Some other great shows coming up this week. Dave Tierney and Jeremy Brecker back doing
next
their
week.
stuff.
Next week. They're off this week.
Oh, they're off this week?
Yes, they're off. And we've got who's on Wednesday? We've got a really cool photo booth, and was MJ on Wednesday night too? Anyway, I got to check on that. But yeah, there will be. No, excuse me. Wednesday night is Jimmy and Howie. They're going to do a hangout afterwards. Howie, by the way,
cool.
If Jimmy hasn't talked to you about it yet, Jimmy wants to do a hangout. So it'll be a photo booth at 9 o'clock Eastern, and at 10 o'clock Eastern, it will be a DJ hangout for. They're going to do a little talk for a few minutes and then open it up for everybody. So yeah, there we go. There's our Wednesday.
So that's what I get. I thought I was looking at the list, and I apparently must have opened up the wrong email. So here's the ding. Yeah, I can talk.
Yeah.
All right, so here's the thing. What you want to do is ignore what I'm saying. Go check out the correct email from John that tells you about all the cool shows that are coming up this week, and make sure you're tuned into them because, as usual, regardless of whether you're looking at an old email or a new email, I guarantee it's good content. You just want to make sure you tune into the right show at the right time. But on that note, thank you very much for tuning in to us. I know you have a lot of great options out there to choose, and we thank you very much for taking an opportunity to join us. You have yourself a wonderful evening, and we'll see you next Monday.
Good night, everybody.